Hey guys, Rich here. This is the transfer case out of our 2016 Toyota Highlander. I actually wasn't trying to fix this myself. We took it to an independent shop. They said, we think it's the transfer case. We don't want to touch it. So I took it to Toyota. They said, yeah, we think it's the transfer case. We're happy to touch it. Give us $6,000. I was like, nah, I think I'll take a shot at it myself. So this was a pain to get out. One of the reasons it's so expensive is the quote-unquote correct way to do it is to take out the engine and transmission and then remove the transfer case from the transmission once it is out of the vehicle. That's a ton of labor. I did get it out without doing that, and I'm probably going to do a separate video on how I did that. Make no mistake, it's still a lot of labor, but the engine and transmission is still in the car. So I posted this on Reddit, I think like a week ago, because when I took it apart, this is the bearing that failed. You can hear it sounds terrible and it feels terrible as well. It actually stops as I turn it. You can see it springing there. It hits hard spots and doesn't want to go around. Now, to be fair, I did take the gear out of this one, so there's not any pressure on it in either direction. That probably would help it smooth it up a little bit, but that bearing is absolutely shot. And a bunch of metal pieces came off of that bearing, and of course screwed up the races for the other two bearings that this guy rides on as well. Those bearings still felt fairly smooth, but the races are trash. If I was going to try and rebuild this one, I would have to replace those bearing races as well. But here's what I want to show you guys. So you see the problem here. You can see the yellow line. I'm assuming they made that mark when they torqued this nut to put the proper amount of preload on this bearing. And you can see it's lightly staked as well. I didn't turn this nut. I have no reason to believe that anyone has ever been inside this transfer case. The independent shop I took it to told me that they just listened to it with a stethoscope. And they also only charged me like, $15 diagnostic time. There was no marks on the bolts that you'd have to take off on the drive shaft to even get this housing cover off. I truly believe they did not take it apart. Toyota also did not take it apart. They also listened to it with a stethoscope and then drained a little bit of fluid out of it, saw the metal flake in it and said, yep, it's the transfer case. There's also no marks on this. I mean, it's not easy to get in here to where this is torqued. You've got to pull the whole, you got to drop the whole prop shaft, remove this housing, and this has that form in place gasket material and 4 bolts. Again, no marks on any of the bolts. I truly believe no one has ever been in here. And yet you can see this nut, and it's a standard threaded nut, but it's tightened up, increasing the preload on these bearings, which I believe is what trashed it. And you can tell that you can see the stake mark there. It was staked, maybe not hard enough, I don't know. And you can see they put a paint line on it when they set the torque on this. But look at that, it's moved. And I posted this. Everyone insisted there was no way that nut tightened up. You're crazy. Somebody went in there and tightened it. I don't know. Yeah, I guess somebody could have tightened it after they torqued it and staked it at the factory when they put this thing together. We bought this vehicle brand new. I know the entire vehicle history on it. That's the independent shop that we first took it to, and then Toyota are the only 2 places it's ever been where anything's been apart. I do all my own oil changes, all that stuff. So, long story short, here is a transfer case that I bought on eBay out of a wrecked vehicle. This one, it's fine. Now, it's going to be a little smoother because I didn't take the gear set out of this one, but I mean, it's still turning completely smooth. No noise out of that bearing. That clanking sound you hear is the mesh in the gear set. But take a look at this. Tell you what, sure looks like that one's moved too. You can see it's if they staked this in the center, it has moved a little bit, maybe, I don't know, 2 millimeters. And the line doesn't quite line up either. I mean, it's close, yeah. But it sure looks like that guy has turned a little bit to me. I'm trying to get you the best shot possible there. It basically looks like it tightened up until it hit the ramp of where it was staked and then stopped. Something in the design here, I don't know if it's just inertia in the prop shaft or what, but there's something with how this is designed that is causing this nut to tighten up. I'm really interested to hear from, possibly a Toyota master technician or somebody from Toyota. I don't know if there's been revisions. I made sure that I purchased a transfer case that was exactly the same as the one that came out of our vehicle. All the numbers match. In fact, this one was made, assuming this is month on the right, so 8th month. This was made 12th month, if I'm reading that correctly. But the part numbers all match, and this one is also out of a 2016 Toyota Highlander. Other side of the country, we're in Pennsylvania. This one I think was a Colorado car, if I'm not mistaken. It was from the Midwest, I believe. Anyway, would love to hear from you guys. What's going on here? And secondly, should I loosen this guy a tiny bit and stake this better before I put it together? All I've done, I haven't taken anything apart in this one with the exception of pulling the dust cover off that sits out here and this rear housing. That's all I've done. I haven't touched anything else here. I think I should loosen this guy up until the stake is in the center and then restake it, or should I leave it as it is? I'm kind of thinking I restake it where it is and leave it, because if it tightened up the preload on the bearings a little bit and it hasn't chowdered anything, I'm a little worried that if I loosen up the preload, that now I might actually create a problem. But would love to hear from you guys. And obviously this is on my YouTube channel. I'm going to post this on Reddit as well. I'm interested in hearing from the guy that insisted that this thing couldn't tighten up when I posted just a picture of the last one.